This video is going to go over the exercise on Khan Academy with the title Density Word Problems. This practice was assigned to you on week 5 of distance learning. Let's begin. The city limits of Las Pythagoras form a perfect shape of an isosceles right triangle whose legs are both 25 kilometers long. The population in Las Pythagoras is 100,000 people. What is the population density of Las Pythagoras? Whenever we're talking about density, this concept explains how tight or how spacious things are within a given shape. So in this situation, I've drawn here this town of Las Pythagoras where the legs are equal and they both are 25 kilometers long. We are also being told that there are 100,000 people who live in this town. So the question of population density is really talking about how close these 100,000 people live to each other if this is the size of their town. Looking down below, you can see that we use this equation where density is equal to quantity over volume as a way for us to find density. So let's go ahead and look at our given and figure out what we can plug in. Well, first, what I see is that we are given for a quantity 100,000 people. Quantity is how many things we're trying to fit into the shape. So in this case, it's 100,000 people. The next thing we need is to figure out the volume. Now the volume currently is not really being given to us outright, and instead we are given the dimensions of the town. So we are given that each leg of this triangle is 25 kilometers long. Well, we can easily find the volume of the triangle given these two measurements. The volume of any triangle is just simply equal to 1/2 base times height. So let's go ahead and plug in some values. So 1/2 times the base, which is 25. This is the base of the triangle, times the height of the triangle, which also is 25. Now, since I'm multiplying fractions, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make these 25s 25 over 1. Now, I like doing this because I know that whenever I'm multiplying fractions, I just multiply numerator times numerator and denominator times denominator. So adding this over 1 doesn't change the value of the number, but it makes it easier for me to see what I'm multiplying. So let's figure out what goes in the numerator first. 1 times 25 times 25 is going to give us 625. And in the denominator, we're going to have 2 times 1 times 1, which is simply 2. Now we should be able to simplify this. 625 divided by 2 will give us 312.5. So this is the volume of the town. So I'm going to put that in the denominator because that is volume. Now the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look for the quotient here because we're going to divide. So we're going to do 100,000 divided by 312.5. I made a mistake here. It should be 312.5, not 15. There you go. So 100,000 divided by 312.5 is going to give me 320. That is the population density for this town.